This was so highly requested by you guys in the comments last week, I had to make it immediately. Join me over on Instagram at mwills, EMWILSS, and hit that little subscribe button for more upcoming videos. Small talk. I talked about it last week and you guys said, please make the video. So here we are. Small talk, if you're not really sure what that means, it means those polite conversations that you have to have with people in life. Whether that's a person at a dinner party, someone at a wedding, a coworker, right, that you're just getting to know at some networking event, things like that. And these tips might help you at weddings and networking events and things like that, but they also might help on dates. And a lot of times people hear the word small talk and it just makes them think of exhausting things. Small talk is not people's favorite thing. So I want to talk about small talk, but also just being a great conversationalist, because it's a really important skill in life and it's something that I've worked on for many years. After traveling all over the world, sometimes I've had to talk to people for hours at a time, not just at a dinner party or at a wedding. I've been in a car with one person that I just met and I have to converse with them for 2 or 3 hours. So this is everything that I've learned from that time. I hope it can be helpful for you. This is a part of life that can be really challenging for a lot of people. So if you're happy I'm making this video, give it a thumbs up. The first thing that I think is important when it comes to conversation is just to relax. And I used to go into every conversation thinking this person's not gonna like me, and I had to let that go. Go into a conversation just thinking, I wanna learn more about this person. This is a necessary part of my life in this moment, at this dinner party, at this wedding, whatever. And I just wanna enjoy this and just be myself. That was a really important place that I had to get to when it came to small talking and conversation, just to relax and be myself. And I know that for some people that's not easy at all. Those of you with social anxiety who feel very awkward in social situations, that's not just like, oh, I can totally relax and be myself. But my encouragement is to do your best in every conversation you have, just to think, I'm just gonna enjoy this conversation with this person and be me. The other important thing to remember is that people love to talk about themselves. So it's really important to be a great listener, and you can ask thoughtful questions, and just if you don't wanna talk about yourself at all, you can just let that person go with really thoughtful and meaningful questions. So my goal in every conversation that I have with a person is to move from small talk into something meaningful as quickly as I possibly can. Now, I'm not saying like get into someone's private life or invade their privacy or make them uncomfortable, but what I found is that people really enjoy talking about meaningful things. People don't enjoy talking about the weather and talking about the traffic and talking about things like that. That's just something you have to do in life sometimes, but I've really found when you find something meaningful to talk about with that person, something that means a lot to them, something that they really care about, they enjoy the conversation more and you enjoy the conversation more. So that is always my goal, and it's made conversations so much more enjoyable and so much more fun because I love hearing about what people care about, and we'll get more to that in a minute. If you want to get there, if I want to get there, I have to be intentional about that and ask good questions. This is the way that I see these conversations and getting to that meaningful place. Every topic is a tree with branches. Structuring it this way in my mind made a huge difference. Every topic is a tree with branches, and you've heard me say that before in my videos, right? I'll say, you know, this topic is a tree with many branches, right? When I talk about saving sex for marriage, I see that as a trunk. I'm not talking about like talking about this with someone at a wedding. I'm talking about when I'm talking to you guys. Saving sex for marriage is the trunk of the tree, and there's all these different branches to that topic that I can talk about in a video. It's the same thing with people's lives. Every topic that you're going to talk about with someone is a trunk of a tree, right? Their work, their family, their passions, their hobbies, whatever that is the trunk of a tree. And there's all these different branches to that tree you can ask them about. For instance, if someone is in a field of study, right? You're in college and someone is studying math or engineering, or someone's in a field of work, right? This person you meet is a nurse or a doctor. That is the trunk of the tree. And there's all these different branches to the tree. For instance, they had to have begun that field of study for some reason or at some time, right? There was a beginning, there's a middle now, what they're enjoying about that or not enjoying about that. And maybe there's a future, right? If they're studying, there is a future plan. Why are you in engineering? What do you see yourself doing with that in the future? In their line of work, there was a beginning to that, right? When they first thought, you know what, I want to be a doctor. There's a middle to that. for instance, their daily life. What does your daily life as a doctor look like? Like, what does your workday look like? And while you're thinking about these tree trunks, you don't have to be listening to this person and be thinking like, okay, think about this next question. Think about this next question. It's really important to just listen to that person and really hear what they're saying and not be thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta think of another question. I gotta think of another question. If you ask thoughtful questions to this person, they will outline many different branches to that tree that you can think about and ask a next question after that. A very important tip in all of this is to ask open-ended questions when you're talking to people. Oh, you're from Los Angeles. Yes. Yes or no question. Those aren't going to get you anywhere, but it's really important to ask questions that give the person something to talk about. What do you love about your work, right? Not, do you love your work? Yeah, I kind of do. But what do you love about your work? Why are you passionate about your job? Why are you passionate about your area of study, etc., and so on and so forth. Open-ended questions get you a lot further. If the person is at an event that you're at, right? You're at a person's party. Both of you know the host for some reason or another. How do you know the host? That person will tell you how they met the host, where this was, about some such and such part of their life. Maybe it was in college, maybe it was where they went to college, and all of a sudden you have all of these questions, all of these topics that you can talk to this person about. If you are at an event at your church or an event involving faith of some sort, that is a huge tree with a lot of branches. You can talk about, were you raised in faith? We talked about that last week. Was that part of your upbringing, or did you come to faith later on? What is your testimony? Really good conversation. If someone's really involved with their faith, they're going to enjoy sharing their testimony with you. What has your faith journey been like? Really good open-ended questions that leave room for that person to talk about a lot of different things. Another important thing has been for me to ask people's advice when they're in a different state of life than I am. For instance, way before I was married, before I had Zion, I was traveling all over, and I would be with people who are married or people who are moms or dads or things like that, and I would ask them their best advice. You're married, I'm not. What would be your best advice if I was ever to get married one day? And that gives the person the opportunity to share about their life with you. People like sharing their advice and what they've learned with other people as well, and I've really found that to be the case. If I'm with a mom, right, before I had Zion, or even now, if I'm with a mom and she's driving me to my event or whatever, I say, you're a mom, you have 1, 2, whatever kids that she shared with me. What should I know about being a mother? Like, what would you tell a young mother that you wish you had known when you were a young mother? Opens up a whole nother tree and is very, very helpful for continuing that conversation and getting to that meaningful place once again. There are 4 questions that I love to ask people in conversations that really can get the conversation going, and these are those questions. The first one is, what are you passionate about? And if that person shares something I know nothing about, so many questions for me to ask, and this has happened to me many times. Going all over America, people in middle America, they have a lot of different passions than people over here in Los Angeles, California. For instance, I'll ask someone, what are you passionate about? I'm passionate about farming. And so I know nothing about farming, so I ask about that. Ask whether it was a family thing that they got into or something they started themselves. What is it like to be a farmer? Why do you love farming? Why is it something you've stuck with over time, etc.? What are you passionate about? If it's something you know nothing about, don't grill them, but just ask thoughtful questions. Say, I know nothing about raising pigs. What is that like? Second is, tell me about the city you grew up in. Everyone has a city they grew up in, right? Or town. I've met a lot of people who are in towns of 500 or something people, and that might be you. That's an open-ended question that leaves the person to share about the place that they grew up, not just where are you from, right? It's really easy to, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. Shout out to Des Moines, Iowa, if you're watching. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, period. No, tell me about the city or town that you grew up in. Takes you way further and is way more interesting. The next question is, what is your family like? Some people don't have very good family backgrounds. They don't get along with their family. You'll be able to tell that right off the bat, but a lot of people really, really love their families and love talking about their families, and I found that to be a great question to ask. Lastly, where's your favorite place you've ever been? They can tell you about their favorite place you've ever been. For me, that's Paris, and I can tell you all the reasons why I love Paris, which brings me to my next point. When people are asking you questions, it's really important to elaborate on what you're talking about, right? If someone asks me, oh, where are you from? I say, I'm from Los Angeles. The traffic there is really, really horrible. It's kind of a crazy place to raise a family, but I really enjoy my upbringing in Los Angeles. I really love driving down the main road and just seeing all the craziness of Los Angeles and knowing that that's my hometown. Much better answer than, where are you from? Oh, I was born and raised in LA. It gives the person something to go off of, and it gives you an opportunity to share and kind of get that conversation going and let that person know that you want to give them more than just period answers. So as much as it's important to ask thoughtful questions, it's really important to give thoughtful answers and to give this person, when they're asking you about this tree trunk, to give them branches to go off of. If they ask you, what is your family like? You can tell them about your relationships in your family. You're close with your brothers and sisters, or you're not close with your brothers and sisters. Everybody's lived the reality of life, right? Don't be afraid to share honestly with people about things, because I think that's another beautiful aspect to get to that meaningful place, is to share honestly. When people have been really open with me in small talk or in getting into that conversation, it really just takes that conversation to a next level and makes it a lot more meaningful. So never be afraid. I'm not saying overshare with a person you just met at a wedding, but to share authentically with that person, and to not be afraid to be open with them so that you can reach a new level in that conversation. Just don't be afraid of that. Again, I'm not asking you to spill your guts, but I think if you want to take conversations past the surface, that's something that you can choose to do with authenticity and with openness and with honesty, as much as you're comfortable with. Lastly, if a person is flat and boring, they're just flat and boring. And it's really important to understand that some people, the conversation is going to be a totally dead end because you ask them all of these questions. What are you passionate about? And they're like, nothing. Tell me about the city you grew up in, Philadelphia. I mean, it was fine. You know, and people can be like that in conversation, and it's no reflection on you, and that's just another normal aspect of life. But just recognize that some people are going to be flat and boring, but I think I found in my life that a lot of people enjoy meaningful conversations, and they would rather move from that surface to talk about something that they're passionate about, to talk about something that they care about. And the quicker that you can get there, the more fun and enjoyment that everybody can have in the necessity that is small talking and conversations. I would love for you to share in the comments some questions that you enjoy asking people in small talk yourself. Those are my favorite ones to ask people, but I would love to hear from you. I hope this is a little bit helpful for you, at least, or a lot bit helpful for you next time you enter into a conversation. That's all for today. Talk to you soon. Bye.